Hello, divers, and welcome to another episode of The Harvest Season. My name is Al.
And my name is Kelly.
And we are here today to talk about cottagecore games. Woo!
Woo!
We've not come to a conclusion on whether Dave the Diver is a cottagecore game or not.
Maybe it's like a bungalow. Like, bungalows are the cottage is of beach towns.
Well, the problem there, right? So if cottagecore games are for lesbians, what are bungalow games for? Who are bungalow games for then?
Non-binary people?
I'll take it. All right, excellent. Fantastic. Well, okay, so I think it is a cottagecore game, right? Because yes, there are some like stakes and stuff, but there's fewer stakes, I think, than say Stardew Valley.
Yeah, and I would say also it's like you still have like the mines in Stardew Valley.
Exactly. That's what I'm meaning. Like the mines in Stardew Valley are definitely scarier than most in here.
I would say that the nighttime is the scary part.
Yeah. But you can ignore nighttime entirely if you want to. The only stuff that only spawns in the night are some fish, which you want if you want to complete the collection, and a few optional side quests. I don't think any part of the story is required for you to go out at night.
I think there was, unless
was
I'm
there
mistaken,
one maybe?
I think there was one with the moray eels. It's been a while. I played that part I think a year ago now, so
yeah,
that's been a while. But I think one part was required, and then after that it was like you don't have to do this again.
So yeah, I think it counts. If Stardew counts, this counts.
Yeah, I think so. You have farms. You have little.
You do
fish tanks and chickens.
Yeah, the chickens is the most unfeature-rich thing in the game.
Yeah.
Chickens exist, and if you turn up, you get an egg. Great.
You can name
Congrats.
them, but you can't pet them.
All right, cool. So we are here to talk about we're here for the final episode of Dave the Diver month. 2 weeks late. And I've got Kelly along to talk about the story for Dave the Diver.
Hey, I loved this game. I got it, I think, the day it came out, and I played it until my fingers hurt. So
hopefully we'll have lots to talk about in the main topic then. Exciting. So before that, we obviously have some news. First of all, Kelly, what have you been up to?
I have been actually getting ready for a trip to Scotland. Woo! But besides that, I've been playing Dave the Diver to catch up on the DLCs, playing Solitaire because that is my brain dead dissociation game, and I've actually started doing Duolingo again, which has been interesting.
What are you learning?
I decided to try Japanese because I've tried Spanish, I've done German, I've done Italian.
So you're not trying to learn any Scottish Gaelic?
No.
Or I think Scots is on there as well, which is a set.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest, which would have been interesting because I was just like, oh, let me try something that's completely different than, any of the like Latin languages or German language.
Germanic.
Yeah.
No, it's just Gaelic. They don't have Scots. I thought I'd seen somewhere they have Scots, but they don't.
Interesting. Can you speak Scots?
So, well, okay, so this is going to be a whole tangent, but we're going for it anyway. I'm just checking. Yeah, Google doesn't have it either. It just has Gaelic. They all call them Scots Gaelic, which is like technically not true because like Scots is a language and Gaelic is a language. Mm. It's like, and Gaelic is a language that has existed for longer than Scotland has existed. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I definitely can't speak Gaelic.
Okay.
I can speak some Scots, but a lot of the Scots that I know is not stuff that I knew was a different language. So when I was, a lot of people in Scotland grow up learning what some people refer to as Scottish English, which is like a weird amalgamation of English and Scots. And
so kind of like Spanglish, like when people grow up in like, like mixing Spanish and English words.
Yeah. And it's when you start to like encounter people outside, you realize, oh wait, this word that I've been using is a word that is not English, right? And to a lot of people, they would just think it's just a dialect word, right? But it's from a different language. We just use it not so I would never use an entire sentence in Scots because that's just not how I was brought up. But a lot of the words that I would use, obviously not on the podcast and not when I'm working, because I don't work with many Scottish people, but like in my day-to-day life, there are a lot of words that I would use that would be Scots. Like, for example, in the classic Scottish way, I'm going to use a weather word, a word about the weather. So the weather here today is dreich, and that is a Scots word that means... It basically means overcast, right? Like, it's cloudy, it's just not nice. It's like, it's not sunny, but it's not like pouring down with rain. It's dreich.
Okay.
So that is an example of a Scots word that I would use most days
Is that,
because of the weather.
Does it start with a D or a B?
It does, yeah. It's a D.
So is it kind of like, it almost reminds me of like dreary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
In
it's
the
kind
sense,
of...
And I would kind of use that word
It definitely... Yeah, I would accept... yeah. They're almost synonyms, but I would say that dreary, I think, can be used in
outside
other
of
contexts.
weather. Yeah.
Whereas dreich entirely would be about the weather.
No, that totally makes sense.
So like you would talk about, that's a dreary meeting, or people were dreary or whatever, but you couldn't say something else was dreich other than the weather.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
That's so interesting. I'm going to totally butcher this, but like, can I, like, how do you say that? Cannae? Is that considered Scots?
What are you? Oh, canny.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be another. A lot of so. Okay, so this is where we get into some technicalities of where English comes from. So, modern English is itself. It comes from not just Old English, but it also comes from Old Scots, and Old is, Auld Lang Syne. That's AULD. That's Scots for old.
Yeah.
And so a lot of English words are, very similar to Scots words because, both languages come from both old languages, Old English and Old Scots.
So it's kind of like, it's like Portuguese and Spanish and like German and like Dutch kind of, where it's like you can understand them, but they're not exactly the same.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know every word and these sorts of things. But some words you could maybe guess at. That's like old. Most people would be able to guess what that means, that,
in the context.
Stuff like that. Different word, clearly different language, but, you can kind of guess what it means because they're similar languages, absolutely. But like one example of the Old English, Old Scots thing is, so you've got fox, the animal, and you know what the female fox is called?
I feel like I do, but not right now.
So it's a vixen.
Yes.
So fox with an F and vixen with a V. I can never remember which one it is, but in one of Old Scots and Old English, it's fox and fixen, both with Fs, and in the other one it's vox and vixen, both with Vs. And modern English has one from each.
And V and F kind of can sound the same too.
They can. They can. The other interesting thing is that there is also a lost letter from Scots that is not used anymore, thanks to the Anglification of keyboards. So when typewriters started becoming a thing, they used the standard QWERTY layout that we're using now, and the letter is called a yod, and it kind of looks like a cross between a Z and a Y, and it has the sound like a y sound. It's kind of like a Y, but it's not quite the same. And I can give you an example of a word that this would be used in. Do you know the company that does like all the logistics at airports? And they're called Menzies. Do you know them? Menzies. So they do a lot of, like, they are a huge worldwide company that do logistics at airports. So if you're at an airport and you look out on airside and you see, people with their high-vis on, in most airports in the West, they will be Menzies employees, which is actually, fun fact, that company started out as a paper shop in Scotland.
Oh, that's cool.
But that Z is not actually originally a Z. It was actually a yod.
Okay.
And so the word Menzies shouldn't actually be said Menzies. It's said Mingies.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of words, a lot of places in Scotland that you might notice this when you're over here. A lot of places in Scotland that have Zs in their name in the middle, and it's not actually a Z, it's a Yod. So there's a place in near Glasgow that's called Culzean, and that's Culzean, but of course that Z was a Yod, which is why it's Culzean, not Culzean.
Okay, so you guys all just acknowledge that it should be
Well, we
pronounced.
didn't. I mean, yeah. So we just ignore the fact that it's a Z because that's what you learn. I didn't know for a long time that it wasn't originally a Z, but yeah, we don't pronounce it like that.
Okay.
But yeah, so
Sorry
you will.
to derail.
So it's fine. I'll put this in specifically as a section on the Scots language for some reason. But yeah, so you might hear some people, if you ever see the paper shop that still does exist, Menzies, some people will call it Menzies and some people will call it Mingies.
Very
because it
interesting.
depends on who you are.
That's pretty cool.
There used to be a politician in Scotland called Mingus Campbell, though, and nobody would ever call him Menzies Campbell, despite the fact that it's spelled the exact same way. But they still call the paper shop Menzies for some reason.
Okay.
So, Mingus, fun fact.
That was a
There you go. That's your Scots language history on the Cottagecore podcast, the harvest season.
I'm just really good at derailing the podcast. What can I say?
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
What have you been up to, Al?
What have I been up
Besides
to?
history lessons.
I have been playing, well, kind of playing Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home and Coraline 1.1. What I do, I quite often, if I'm like trying to play a game for a podcast and I've not quite got into it yet, I will feel guilty about that and not play any other games. So I have played about 2 in-game days of Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home.
That's it?
That's it. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll manage to play enough before the podcast that I'm recording in a week.
It's crunch time.
It is crunch time. So we'll see. The annoying thing I also found out is that, so it's, I don't know if you're aware of this game, Kelly, but it is a mobile game. So it's on Android and iOS.
The Harvest Moon one.
The new Harvest Moon game, yeah. And they haven't enabled cloud save for it. So I installed and started playing it on my 13-inch iPad. And that is now the only device I can play this game on.
That's so wrong.
It is bizarre because
Especially like I'm assuming the Harvest Moon game, you know, it has a lot going on. You're dedicating a good amount of time to playing it.
You should be, yeah.
Yeah. Like, you have items, you have things that you're building up. Like, why wouldn't, like, don't most of these games have that built in by now?
Yeah, yeah. And it's not even, you don't even need to do much. You just need to say, yes, you can do it. Here's the save data. And then it does it. You don't even need to do anything for it.
Yeah. And especially with, I feel like, I'm sure they're different games, but, like, just having, like, knowing that Animal Crossing is
Pocket
whatever... Pocket Camp, yeah, is like shutting down their app.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you kind of want to make sure that your app is there to like fill the void?
Yeah. Anyway, so that's another reason why I've not played a lot of it yet, is because I can only play it on one device, and it's the 13-inch iPad, which I like as a device, but it's not the best for mobile games, obviously.
Is it annoying to like hold for? Is that what the issue is, or is it?
That's part of the issue. Although I do have it on a stand at my desk, so I don't have to hold it when I'm at my desk, but that means that, like, realistically the only time I'm playing this game is when I'm working, which is not a great way to play a game, right?
No.
But anyway, whatever. It's especially annoying because they haven't disabled playing it on Macs as well, so now you can play iPad and iPhone stuff on Macs, which is great. It's a great feature, but it means that I've installed the game on my Mac, but I'd have to start a new save to play it there. It's like, it just, there are I was like, this is great because there are like so many ways for me to play this. I can play it on my iPad during work. I can play it on my Mac when I'm sitting in front of the TV. I can play it on my iPad mini when I'm in bed. And I'm like, nope, you get one of those.
Yeah, joke's
one
on
of
you.
those.
That's annoying.
Yeah. I should have just gone with the Android version. But the problem is the Android version crashed when it first came out, so I couldn't play it for. In fact, I think it's still not working on many people's Android phones.
So they kind of they dug you into a little corner.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've done a little bit of Coral Island 1.1 as well, because I hadn't been playing that yet. So that's that, and I have gotten very much back into Marvel Snap.
Whoa, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, so
did they like fix the game? Because I know they made some kind of weird decisions last.
They make loads of weird decisions, but they're quite good at fixing these things quickly.
Okay.
Like you get multiple changes a week. So if there's something that's completely killing the game, they kill that really quickly. They're pretty good at that. No, we're at the end of a season, and the next season has like a new type of ability, which is the first time they've done that since launch, so that's exciting. And a lot of new spider people cards, which is also cool. I do like some spider people.
When did they release Marvel Snap? Was it like around this time last year?
Is it only a year?
Right?
I don't know. It can't.
Is it
only
older
be a
than
year,
that?
Really? No, 2 years.
Okay.
October 22.
I didn't think it was only a year old, but I was like, I don't keep up with that game, so there's also that. There just happened to be a streamer I was watching who was like obsessed with it for a while.
I really love it because I like card games, but one, they're so hard to keep up with all the cards, right? Mm-hmm. And the good thing about Marvel Snap is so many different types of playing are viable.
So it's not like you get one or two meta that are like...
Exactly. There's like, destroy decks are really good just now. Move decks are pretty good just now. There's also like a couple of other types of decks that you can use based on multiple cards. Like I have played 4 different decks and won with them over the last 2 days. So it's pretty good. Discard decks are still quite good as well. Like there's lots that's working just now. And there are a few cards that if you don't get them, you're unlikely to get up to like level 100, rank 100. But I'm unlikely to get there anyway. And it's still fun. Like it takes a long time to build up the ranks anyway. So, only now I'm at rank 60 now. And, granted, I've only been playing for two weeks of this season, which is about half of it. But, it's like I think it would have been unlikely for me to get to 100 anyway. But so and also the actual matches are simpler than most card games, so you've only got a few things to think about while still having a lot of different strategies. And obviously they're fast. You can get a match done in the longest matches take 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, it seems like. I'm not a big Marvel person, but it seems like a fun game with a lot of creativity and like options. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're still actively updating it, I think says a lot. Yeah, it's obviously making money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too.
Basically the reason why I'm back into it is because Hannah from the ISE Slack, she came over and was like, oh, I'm interested in this because I hear that it's quite similar to what the new Pokemon trading card app will be like. So I want to see how this works before that comes out to see how similar it is and compare it to that.
Oh, interesting.
And so when she said that...
Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see how much it actually is because we don't know much details about how the battles will work. But it will be very clever if it works out well. But because she came through and did that, I was like, oh, now I really want to play. Mm-hmm. And I haven't stopped playing since. So that was 2 weeks ago.
I trust me, I understand. I'm sure you'll get out eventually. You'll be free.
Yeah, this is my problem is I don't play games casually. I play games until I stop playing them. And it is my life until I stop playing them and then I never think about them again.
No, yeah, literally, I completely understand. That's why I'm not allowed to play stuff like Cafe Mix anymore.
I never liked Cafe Mix.
It was a phone game. you know? But it was a phone game that once I started playing events, I got really hooked, and I was good at the events, and I kept winning events, and then I would get money out of it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was like, you know, daily. It was a daily thing where I'd go in, I'd play 5 games, I'd do this, and then the events were like, you have to play all weekend, otherwise you won't win. And I'd be like, well, I have to win.
Of course.
So now I'm just not allowed to play that game. But I do that with all games. That's why I played Dave the Diver until my fingers hurt, you know? That's,
Yeah. Yeah,
really
I never got into Cafe Mix because I just didn't like the gameplay. Like, it felt too imprecise.
It is. It's very sloppy, which I think can work in your favor if you know how to use it correctly.
Yeah, probably, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to learn. You know, it's like I loved like Shuffle, Pokemon Shuffle, which it's not. I know it's not the same game, but it's like similar ideas in some ways.
Yeah.
But I much preferred that because it was very clear. Like, it's precise, right? This piece goes to that piece, and that's it. Whereas with Cafe Minutes, it's like, oh, you're kind of like circling, and it's like I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very different in actual gameplay.
Yeah. Cool. So that's what we've been up to.
Yeah.
And a tangent on the Scots language. Now we're going to talk about some news, some game news. First of all, we have the 0.9 update of Research Story is out now. So this includes a new NPC, lots of extra content for the NPCs, a cooking system, and your classic on a daily cottagecore game, the daily summary. When you go to sleep, gives you everything that you've done in that game.
I laugh, but honestly, I need things like those. Like, when games don't have that, sometimes I'm like, what was I doing?
Well, that's the thing. And it's like you have, like, especially in farming games where you are selling a bunch of stuff on a daily basis, it's good to know, one, how much you actually sold, and two, how that broke down.
Yeah.
You know, that was a key point of Stardew, is trying to figure out what was the most proficient stuff there, what do I want to do again. And this is really nice in that it's building up into other things as well. So it's like, oh, here are the people you talk to, and here's the XP you gained, and that sort of stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely does help. And I think also with farming games, it's so easy to get sidetracked on things. So it's like good to see at the end of the day, like, oh, I actually did not sell as much stuff that I wanted to, or didn't talk to the right amount of people, or, you know, it's 2 days until I have to buy something that's really expensive. I better start selling a bunch. Yeah.
They have also released their roadmap to 1.0, so they're getting close. They have 2 more updates before the 1.0. That is 0.10 should be coming out at the end of September. That is player customization. And 0.11 should be coming out at the end of the year. And that is Orange Hearts and Shimmers. The Orange Heart events, that will be for NPCs. And I don't know what Shimmers means. Oh, rare variant. Oh, shiny creatures. Right, okay, fair enough. Always got to
translate
into Pokemon. And then the 1.0 will be coming out in Q1 next year. So if you've been looking for 1.0 to finally get into this game, it'll be next year.
Have you played the is there an early access?
Yeah, that's what this is. I haven't played it. I know that Cody has played it, and I think Bev played it as well, and they had a chat about it on one of the episodes, and they both really liked it. So
it looks cute. I like the note about married life events, because I feel like a lot of these games kind of end events once you marry your characters of choice. So
not nice. Looking at anyone in particular, Coral Island. Spirit Tea have also got an update out now. The moving and grooving update. It's animations.
This game is so upsetting to me because I really wanted to like it so bad.
Yeah, did you play it?
Seeing this update, it's like, these look so funny and like they look so silly, but it's like, I'm not going to go back to play that game.
This is the problem, is like you can like everything about a game, but if you don't actually enjoy the core loop of the game, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and I think I put like 30 hours in or something, so I gave it a good...
That's more than I put in.
Try.
I maybe put in 10 hours.
I wanted to like it so bad.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is just like a personal preference thing, right? Like some people just don't like certain times of games, and that's fine.
I mean, I don't know, because I love games like this typically. I wish I could. I played this like back in the like last fall, so I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know some things were just like kind of really repetitive in like a non.
I think that's that the repetitive bit is probably my problem, is that the bathhouse you did upgrade, but it didn't really feel like you were progressing, whereas with farming games you go from like a 2x2 square that you've made of turnips to thousands of crops over your farm and tens of animals giving you millions every season, and it didn't feel like there was that level of progression to aim for, and that was what I think really lost me about it.
Yeah, I agree. Because I updated, like, I think as much as I possibly could in the bathhouse, too.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, now I have 3 baths?
Yeah. There's actually a second floor.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But it doesn't add that much.
Yeah. Anyway, but if you enjoyed the game, there's more updates to it. And, as you say, these animations are pretty goofy and fun. And
yeah, they look so silly and cute,
They add some more character to the NPCs.
Yeah.
Next, we have a new update for Loddlenot coming out on the 19th of September. And oh boy, do I hate the names that they give these updates. This one is the Goddles update. What's a Goddle, you might say? That's a good question. This includes a new secret cave biome that houses 3 mysterious Goddles. Was this cavern forgotten by Guppy? What ancient abilities do these Goddles have? I'm still not quite sure what a Goddle is. Is it the little tree-looking thing in this image, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's cute that it's like, oh, plant these to prevent pollution, but still it's like, yeah, to your point, like, what does this made-up word mean?
Yeah. I think this might be one of those updates that if you have played the game, which I haven't yet, that you might be more interested in it. Yeah. I want to play this game at some point, but...
It looks cute. I like, whatever this aesthetic is called. I can't think right now.
Yes, I can't remember either. They've all got fancy names.
Yeah. But I like this game design. Like, I think that style of animation is very cute and like very fun for like a little underwater game. Yeah. Yeah,
it works well, especially when all your creatures are axolotls.
Yes.
Which, the goofier an axolotl is, the cuter it is.
That is true. It is unbeatably cute looking.
Next, we have a new DLC for Outlanders. This is the Wandering Stars DLC. And I mean, if you've played Outlanders, you can look at it. I don't really think we need to go into the details of it. Outlanders is a city builder game, so I'll probably not play it, because every time I try and enjoy a city builder, I just get frustrated with them. It's not my kind of game.
I get too into city builder kind of games, and then it's also really not enjoyable for me and like actually just stressful. So yeah.
I think part of my problem, so I used to love city builders. I was obsessed with SimCity 2 so much. But I think part of the problem is that they never work well with controllers. They're just not fun to play unless you have a mouse and keyboard. And that's not how I game anymore in my life. I am past the point in time where I do that.
I've flipped from like being a controller only person to playing a lot of games mouse and keyboard now with like an occasional controller. And it's true, a lot of these games are so different when you have the option to mouse and keyboard them. Like there's some games where it just makes such a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like the way that I game nowadays is sitting on my sofa watching TV with Rona, because that's the time we get together and that's how we like to spend our time together. So I'm not going to go, oh, sorry, Rona, I'm going to go into the office and play games on my computer. I'm just not going to do that. So, but I used to, like when I was a student or whatever, I would, be up till 2, 3 in the morning playing games with the mouse and keyboard. It's just not my life anymore.
It's tough.
Yeah.
The sacrifices.
Finally, we have an update on what was called Rune Factory Project Dragon and is now called Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma.
That's a kind of... Oh, wait. So, I'm sorry to cut you off, but was it called Rune Factory Project Dragon?
Yes.
And they changed... That's interesting.
So I don't know if that was ever meant to be the title, because when you see project, you quite often think that's not the final title. So yeah. I suspect it was like, we haven't thought up a name. It's about dragons. Call it Project Dragon, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, now they've given it an actual name, and they've said it's coming out spring next year, and we have a trailer. So the interesting, have you played any Rune Factory games?
No.
Okay,
I never got onto that bandwagon. I don't know how I missed it. I think I was just too dedicated to The Sims at that point in my life.
Fair enough. I mean, we've all been through our Sims phase. Again, interestingly, spent a lot of time playing Sims and Sims 2 specifically, and then not really since then. Probably for the same reason that they don't really work very well with controllers. Oh, no, they're awful.
Those games are the games that made me realize that not all games can be played the same way.
Yeah. I think it's good that they add support for it, because some people will have no other option and they would rather go through the pain and do it anyway. But anyway, so the interesting thing about this game is it says that it is a boldly reimagined gameplay. And the interesting thing is I watched this trailer and I'm not sure what the boldly reimagined gameplay is, because previous Rune Factories it is basically Harvest Moon, but also combat. And this is Harvest Moon, but also combat. So, you still have all the exact same farming stuff, and then you go off and you fight creatures. Now, granted, it does seem to be that some of the combat is dance-based rather than with a sword.
Interesting. So it's like a rhythm?
No, I don't think it is rhythm-based. So this is the thing. I think it is just you press a button and you do a dance move, which isn't fundamentally different than you press a button and you hit something with a sword.
So it's still it's still...
I don't know. I don't know.
Are you going to start breakdancing at enemies?
Well, this is the thing, because the dancing, this is the weird bit, the dancing just seems to give you weapons that you hit the enemies with. So
Are you dancing to the gods to ask for a weapon?
Kelly, I have no idea. They've not shown any real gameplay. I guess my point is, I don't know what the new part of this is. It just looks to me like the next Rune Factory, and there are some changes to it, and it's a different story, and that's all great, and people will love that. But why are you pretending that it's something fundamentally different when it's clearly not?
There's been quite a few Rune Factories, right?
We've had 5 so far.
Maybe they're just lying to market it.
I mean, one person's boldly reimagined is another one's iterative change, right?
Yeah. This seems like a pretty far reach, though.
It
based
does.
On what you've said.
It feels like Rune Factory 5, but with some advances, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But why would you do that? It even says restore your lost memories. You still have amnesia, in every single Rune Factory game.
Oh, it's one of those games. Okay, I see.
This game. I don't know if I can go through playing another Rune Factory game.
Have you played all of them?
No, I have not. I have played just 4 and 5, but I feel like that's enough for me. I'm not a fan of the combat in these games.
Okay. Is it turn-based or is it
No, it's action-based. Real-time, whatever you want to call it. Real-time combat. It's just... I never feel like it's responsive enough for me to feel like it's enjoyable. It feels more like hack and slash.
Okay.
Rather than something like, Breath of the Wild, where you can have, precise combat with dodging and... what's the other one where you hit it the right parry? That's the right one. So I don't know. I say that I don't want to play it, but I'll probably play it. We'll see. We now have a trailer for it, so if you're interested, go watch it. We've not heard anything else about Rune Factory 6, which, fun fact, Kelly, they announced at the exact same time they announced this game.
Oh, this isn't 6.
No, this isn't 6. This is
a side project.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the thing. It's not, though. It's not. It's just the next Rune Factory. They won't call the next one 6. I am pretty certain.
Come out.
They haven't said anything. Look, these games. So Rune Factory 5 got announced like 6 years before it actually came out.
But this one seems to be coming out pretty quick.
Yeah, they announced it 2 years ago.
That's not too bad when your other ones take 5 years.
That's true, and it's obviously no Silk Song.
Yeah, that's my gauge for everything.
It'll be interesting to see how long a Silk Song is, and we can start comparing things to this is half a Silk Song or whatever.
Well, I think they've I think the Psychos have run out of other games, or they're starting to run out of other games to compare it to.
Yeah, yeah. I think GTA 6 is the only other one that feels like that has been longer.
Yeah, and that's just a meme in itself. So the two meme games,
yes,
we're just.
GTA 6 is not coming out next year. No matter how much they say it is, it's not coming out next year. It is because I don't know if they actually announced that it was coming out in 2025 or something, but when is it?
No, because there was that whole meme just going around of we got this before GTA 6.
So they announced that it was going to come out in Q4 2025.
So end of next year. That's never
late
happen.
Yeah, that means it's coming out 2026.
Yeah.
It was hilarious because they announced it in December last year. So it was like, oh, they're going to announce the new game. Great. And then it came out and there was, oh, wow, that's exciting. And then at the end, it was like late 2025. You're like, really? You're announcing it 2 years before you're currently planning on it coming out?
I went into a little bit of a spiral recently because of GTA 6 and that whole timeline. Because I was like, wow, it has been... I lived at my parents' house when GTA 5 came out.
Yeah.
I was in college.
It's basically my entire career. So I
was so excited because the weekend it dropped, my parents were away and I set up the big screen TV in the living room.
Yeah.
And moved the comfy, armchair to the center of the living room and sat there and played GTA 5 on the big screen TV. And that's how long it's been.
It's funny, so it came out on the 17th of September 2013.
No, literally, this is...
I got my first job outside of uni on the 8th of August 2013. So just over a month before GTA 5 came out, I started my career. Since then, I've changed job 5 times. I have had 2 children. I have bought 2 different houses, not at the same time. I'm not a crazy person. I was technically married before that, but only by 2 months, right? So my entire career. So I remember explicitly that it came out around that time because my first job, their office was right next to the Rockstar offices in Edinburgh.
Okay.
And so they had this massive 4-story poster on the office building that I walked past every single day for a month before it came out.
It's crazy. It's so funny. Like you said, my whole life, I was still in college, still living at my parents'.
Yeah.
Still working, some college level job.
I have a 9-year-old who was born a year and a half after it came out.
I gotta say, they really milked GTA Live for all it's worth.
Yeah,
because the
really
fact
did.
that kept that game so relevant is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm not really a GTA person, so I never played GTA Live.
I was, for literally most of my childhood, and then they didn't release a new game for half my life. That's crazy. One of my I used to rent GTA Miami Vice and GTA 3 from Blockbuster.
I think it's a very good example of how modern games have become too big.
Yeah.
So from 1997, when the first GTA came out, there were 16 years between that and GTA 5. 16 years.
And what did they put out, 12 games?
It depends which ones you're counting.
I'm
'Cause there's,
counting the mini, like the side, like the PSP games and stuff like that too.
So
Yeah.
if you're counting everything, it's 15.
I could hear the little tapping.
15 games.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off.
So an average of one a year. And since GTA 5, or let's assume, so between GTA 5 and GTA 6 releasing, and this is just GTA games, by the way, it's not all Rockstar games. I'm just talking GTA stuff. So between GTA 5 and GTA 6 releasing, there will be at least 12 years.
That's absurd.
So 12 years between, and in that time, what have they had? GTA Live. And, well, ignoring the other, so GTA stuff specifically, GTA Live, or online, or whatever you call it, and their remastered trilogy.
Oh, right, okay, which, that doesn't count.
No, exactly. And but I was counting, for the record, like, I wasn't even counting, like, they had a double pack and a trilogy re-release. I wasn't counting those before, so literally, and GTA Online came out at the same time as 5, came in 2013. It was like 2 weeks after 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rockstar have done other games, of course, since then.
But they literally had such a, like, they are who they are because of GTA.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, again, that was
also,
my
well, also
the
Lemmings,
craziest
but yeah.
cheats for those games.
We can't forget Lemmings. Come on.
What is that a Rockstar game?
Yeah. Oh, did you never? So, okay, right. This is where we get into the history of Rockstar North. Not Rockstar, Rockstar North.
Is that the Scotland office?
It's so. Well, let me get to that. So, GTA was originally developed by a company called DMA Design. Mm-hmm. This was a company based in Dundee, in Scotland.
Okay.
Which it's actually the heart of games design in Scotland. The university there. People come from all over the world to study games design. It's like well known for that. DMA Design, after GTA 3, were bought by Rockstar and renamed Rockstar North. But before that, they released many games. GTA is the one that obviously most people know of, but they also released Lemmings, which was a big game. Did you never play Lemmings?
I don't know.
So this was a game, the gameplay for this was, you have, obviously this is based on the false idea of lemmings walking off cliffs, which is obviously nonsense, but it was a fun game. So you know about the creatures lemmings, right?
Yes.
And you know about the Disney's terrible thing where they pretended that lemmings walked off cliffs, but actually they just basically pushed them off a cliff for a documentary.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
do know about that.
So DMA Design made a game called Lemmings that was based off this idea. You have a lot of little lemmings and you have to guide them through a 2D world, get them from the start to the end using different things, like you can tell a lemming to mine through this thing, you can tell one to build a stair, you can, loads of things. It was a really fun game.
They're so cute looking, honestly. Like, I'm looking at it now. It looks adorable.
So, I don't think they made a single Lemmings game after they became Rockstar North, which I'm very sad about. But
could you imagine?
It'd be amazing. They basically became the GTA place, even though they did so many other games before that. But
yeah, that's crazy. I never would have guessed that, to be honest. But yeah, GTA. What is life?
Yes, there we go. So many tangents in this episode.
Derailment 2.
But hey, I mean, GTA 6 probably come out before Elder Scrolls 6, so
I'll probably get it before Silk Song.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Al, I have to say these things to jinx it, so.
Okay, sorry. Right, I think we're done with our tangents for now.
Yes.
And that's definitely the news finished. I think the news was finished 20 minutes ago.
We had to have another history lesson, okay?
Yeah. We've got 2 Scottish history lessons, one about the language and one about the only games company that has actually been successful.
You have to say we're consistently on theme, at least somehow.
I'm just getting you ready. I'm getting you ready for coming. You can have a look at the Rockstar North offices in Edinburgh when you're there.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know where their current offices are because I think they moved since I worked in Edinburgh. Anyway, we're going to talk about Dave the Diver. Specifically, we're going to talk about the story aspect of it. But there are two things we need to discuss beforehand. First of all, they have, for some reason, announced new DLCs since the last Dave the Diver episode. So we need to talk about them. So the first one is Balatro. This is the card game, the like ridiculous roguelite card game where you have to like build up a hand and make like you've probably seen people with trying to break it by having numbers so large that the game crashes and stuff like that. I don't think we know for certain what's happening here, but it looks like they're putting the
it's
game
like a mini game, right?
As a mini game inside. But I also noticed on the Nintendo Direct this week that also Dave the Diver themed decks are going in Balatro as well.
That's cute. I think that's a nice, like, I feel like Dave does such a good job of these cute little, they remind me of like back in the day when you do like follow for follow or like photo, like my photo and I'll like your photo.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of like cute little, hey, look at my game. Hey, look at their game.
Yeah.
And it's just enough of like, you know, dipping each other's toes in each other's games kind of thing where you get a little glimpse of the other game, but like it's nothing over the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing about the Balatro stuff is, so when they did the Direct, I think this was the first announcement, they were like, oh, we've got the Witcher 3 crossover, oh cool, oh they got an Among Us one, oh cool, they got a Vampire Survivors one, and I posted on Slack and I was like, oh, they're doing a Dave the Diver with all these crossovers, and then they announced, and we've got a Dave the Diver deck, and I'm like, oh, for goodness sake. It was just amazing timing.
That's so funny. I think like these little things though are such a good way to keep like your game still relevant and like, you know, in the news and being talked about.
Yeah.
And like it shows fans that you're like still participating in the game.
Yeah, it's fun. So we'll see how big that is when it actually comes out. I don't think we know when it's coming. It's just they've announced it is happening.
I do have to play Balatro before it comes out. I've been putting that off because as a solitaire addict and a roguelite fan, I am concerned about how addicted I'm going to get.
Yep. I do not like roguelites, and I'm not a huge... I just said... I was about to say I'm not a huge card game fan. That I realise that deeply contradicts what I said earlier in the episode about Marvel Snap.
It does.
I'm not a huge playing card game guy, if that makes sense. So I like card games,
yes,
but I'm not huge with games that you play with playing cards. Like I've never really been like a solitaire person or anything like that. Rona likes those sorts of games, but it's just not really. Part of what I like about the other card games is the cards themselves, which granted Balatro is doing with their crossovers, right, where they have lots of fun cards. So maybe that will get me in. I don't know.
No, I loved physical card games growing up. Like I used to play solitaire on the floor.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like my go-to, you know? It's like an easy, like, I don't have to think about this kind of game.
That's fair. The next collaboration is with Potion Craft. And Potion Craft is, a potion crafting game. This one is basically just one character from Potion Craft in Dave the Diver as a merchant. You can buy mushrooms for cooking with. So not a particularly large one.
Still, that's nice though. Just like one thing that you don't have to worry about collecting in the water or like from your dispatch.
Yeah.
Or like growing in the farm.
Yeah. I do like when you can just buy things.
Yeah, it's nice sometimes.
Such a capitalist. And the final one, which I still don't know what's happening here. This one is with an artist called MXM Toon.
Yes. I think that's how you pronounce it. There's a whole bit about not knowing how to pronounce it.
Toon, maybe.
Some people say Mom Toon.
So, like, is this actually going to be a thing in the game? Or is this...
This one actually seems, just from my look at the trailer and what I'm interpreting it as, it seems like it's the most content...
Oh, she seems to be, like, swimming in the sea with you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then
I'm presuming she uses she her. They are using she her in the article.
Yes, yeah. I get her on TikTok a lot.
Okay, cool. I literally never heard of her before this was announced.
I don't listen to her music really, but she's pretty funny on TikTok and like, very into memes and like I think she like quotes Smiling Friends at her shows all the time. Like she does the voices.
Yes, I still haven't watched that. That's on my list to watch at some point.
But so from the trailer, it looks like this is pretty interactive. Like she gets to join you as a player, and then she has some side scenes. So maybe we'll get like a little beach bonfire.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I'm presuming she's pretty big.
She's pretty popular. But also still somewhat niche, if that makes sense.
Just to get like in, because apparently she's also done collaborations with The Sims.
So again, I think what it is she's hip to like gaming culture is what I think it is.
Right, okay.
So in that sense, she's looking for stuff like this. Whereas like, an artist like Sabrina Carpenter wouldn't be like, oh yeah.
Fair. But you still have to be pretty big, game. Right? Because
absolutely.
I can ask them all I want to put me in their game. Yes. They're not going to do it.
Yes.
She has just under 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which is not small.
No,
but it's not.
But again,
humongous.
She's not massive. That's why I'm saying she's pretty niche. But I think she has a cult following.
Yeah.
So
500,000 followers on the hell site that is Twitter.
What's her TikTok following?
I need to get up the phone for that.
I'll do it.
As I started typing her name into TikTok, the first autocomplete was MXN tune Smiling Friends.
Yeah, she literally does their voices at concerts.
3 million on TikTok.
Yeah, she has 3 on TikTok.
Interesting.
Which, like, again, she's not massive, but she's not small either, so...
She's for the Gen Z.
Yes.
Gen Z, whatever you want to call them. I don't know why I said Gen Z, because I never say that, despite saying Z, I almost always say Gen Z. I don't know why I said that.
But very interesting. I was very, both surprised and not surprised to see her involved in this. Because again, I think it fits her personality, but to your point, almost 1 million followers on YouTube is great, but also in this day and age, it's not, anything insane, I guess.
Yeah.
But clearly she has pull because she's in the game.
She has no controversies on Wikipedia, so...
Wow. And she's young.
Yeah, she's 24, right? Which isn't, super young, but she was born this millennium. Yes.
But what I'm
that always makes me feel old when someone who's, a legitimate adult was born this millennium.
What I'm saying is, we've seen a lot of internet children get in trouble for things that they've posted on the internet at younger ages.
I see what you mean. Yes.
And we have not seen that come from her, so that's always nice.
Well,
but yeah, I'm excited for that one. It looks cute.
I will definitely boot it up for, assuming that these DLCs are free like the previous ones. Mm-hmm. I will be downloading all of them and trying them all out.
Me too.
Although we don't have any information about when they're coming out, I don't think. So we'll just have to see. We'll keep you updated. Okay, so before we get into the story discussion, I also, Kelly, want to get your overall thoughts on the game and the mechanics. Obviously, we have had an episode talking about the game itself, mostly not the story. And we've talked about the 2 existing DLCs. But before we get into the story, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the game as a whole. I know you like it. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it?
Yeah, this game hooked me from the get-go. I love an exploration, roguelite, whatever you want to call it, kind of game. I love deep sea stuff. So I think it really, on that alone, just solidified its place in my heart. But I think, it's a fun game. They really did a good job incorporating different mechanics, different options. You can play the game a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it gets repetitive. I think any game in this style eventually falls into that, grindy kind of repetitive rhythm.
Do you know what I find interesting though is that I feel like it's not long enough to get to the point where I actually disliked any part of that.
No, so that was going to be my next point, is it only really gets to that point when
If you're trying to complete
get
all
everything.
the catches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
fair. Yeah.
You can so easily beat this game. And I lollygagged a lot because, again, I am a explorer at heart. So my first thing is like, oh, well, I went this way, but I didn't go that way. So I got to go that way first before I can move forward ahead. No matter how many times I tell myself I'm going to do a quick dive.
Which is
and
difficult
just go-
in a roguelite.
Yeah. Yeah.
When everything changes.
Well, that's why I gotta go check out both ways before the dive is over, because you're never gonna see that again.
Yeah, fair.
So I get stuck in that loop a lot. But even with all of that lollygagging, like, I did not get bored of the game. Or not bored of the game, but like, just like kind of over the repetitive until like 80 hours of gameplay. And that was me playing for like 3 straight weeks at least. Until like 3 a.m. Till my fingers hurt. So I think overall it has a very good gameplay setup. There's so much going on. I think the different, like, quote unquote biomes, like the different levels with their different types of fish, really help keep it interesting.
Yeah, because as you're upgrading your suit and stuff, you're getting access to new areas.
And each area has like so much going on.
Yeah, so even though it's the same gameplay, it feels very different.
Mm-hmm. I really like how they, like, obviously some fish have similar attack and catch methods, but like they really did a good job of diversifying that, and I think making it feel kind of as realistic as possible to the different species. Like those stingrays get me all the time still. Like, how do I, like you have like, oh, your swimming fish and your hiding fish and your violent fish. But like even amongst the hiding, like the fish that hide on the seafloor, there's different mechanics for each one, depending on their species, kind of. And then even within that, they all have different kinds of attacks or different impacts on you when they attack you. So I think that also keeps it really interesting because, you know, you got to actually think about all these things. I did really like the crab traps because that was, like, I think one of the newer additions.
That was really late on in the game.
Yeah.
Like even playing it with that in from the start, you don't get it until the absolute last area. I guess technically,
because I wasn't sure if I had missed it.
No, so I think technically actually the second last is the place with the narwhal, which is technically not the last area, but
second to last.
It realistically is the last area because I don't think you can go back to the other place again. Can you after that?
Yeah, you can. You can actually. Once you're in,
would you want to?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the last place you're going to go back to fish and catch and stuff like that.
Yeah. But you can technically go bounce around. As long as you don't go back to the boat, you can go to the sea people, go back to the first area, go back to the sea people, go to the glacial passage, go back to the sea people as many times as you want in one dive.
Yes. Yeah, but the bit, I mean, so there's a glacial passage and then there's the colder bit with the narwhal after that. And then there's one other place after that.
Oh, yeah. So glacial area. That's what the narwhal. And then the hydrothermic.
Is that what it's called?
It's something like that. It's like hydrothermal.
There's like one boss fight there, I think, isn't there?
2 technically if you count the very last room. Because I think on the animal cards, like the Marinica cards, they all count.
It has been a while since I've done
that.
Oh,
actually there's 3, I think, in that one area. There's heliotrope, or whatever it's called, the one with the saw jaw.
Oh, yeah, I hated that one.
So that one I thought was really, I know I'm all over the place, but that one was really interesting because that shark has been such a point of contention among scientists for so many decades.
Oh, yeah?
Because they couldn't figure out what was going on with its jaw based on the fossil records.
Mm.
So if you actually look up the history of like different drawings that scientists have done throughout the years to try to decide how they think this shark worked, it's a crazy mix of different things. And I think it was actually only recently that they decided that was the correct way that the shark worked. Like the way that its jaw actually worked together.
Interesting.
So that was really cool to see. I think that's but that goes back to my main point. Like I really love underwater stuff, and like, so not only is it like really cool to see all these underwater creatures, but then for them to bring in like the prehistoric creatures too is really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did not. The boss fights are my least favorite part of the game.
I think so some of them I liked and some of them I hated.
Yes.
But yeah, they're very...
They're all over the place.
I think I'm really glad that they let you restart.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Without having to start the dive again. That was the best decision they made.
Yes, because there are so many moments where I would question if I should actually start a boss fight, because I'd be like, well, I collected all this stuff. I don't want to lose all this stuff. And then I'd be like, oh wait, I'm not gonna
like
lose all my stuff.
If I had gone against a boss fight and I'd lost and I was back on the boat, I would have quit the game.
Absolutely. Because I did not die very often in this game, like just diving.
Yeah.
And even then, like, that sucks. I hated that. But, like, you know, it is what it is. But, like, if you died in a boss fight and lost everything, especially a boss fight where you come all the way from the very top, like, you died from the boat to get all the way to, like, the hydrothermic area.
Yeah. Or one of the nighttime ones.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's like you have to wait again for another stormy night, because one of them you have to wait for a stormy night, and then no, I would have been like, no, this game I'm not. So yeah, that was a good decision.
Yeah, that's actually why I didn't get as many. I think I only did like one dredge day, because you have to like wait for the fog.
Yeah, I've only done one as well so far.
Also, the dredge one scares me, and that's why I haven't played dredge itself.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
I keep having people saying to me, it's not that scary. It's only scary if you go out at night. And I'm like, but isn't that the whole point of the game?
Listen, the nighttime in this game scares me already. I've watched people play dredge because I want to play dredge, but I know I'm a baby and I'm too afraid to play it. My heart rate goes up when I fight a stupid little fish, not even a shark. Sometimes.
Oh, the swarms of fish that
not
attack
even
you.
The swarms. Sometimes it'll just be like a stupid little. I'm not even a barracuda. Like those little. What are the little red ones that attack you sometimes? Because they're.
Oh yeah, they're annoying.
Jerks. But like sometimes just from being chased by one of those guys, my heart rate will go up. So it's like I don't need dredge scaring me. I think I died when I tried the dredge one too. And then I was like, oh. That's it. I tried.
All right. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the story then. So I think we've done a little bit in previous episodes. We talk about the setup. Let's laugh at it again. It's very silly.
It's a silly game.
It's
really
very
is.
Silly.
Like the whole premise of the game is silly. I think that kind of poking fun at itself and all of that stuff makes part of the game too.
It's almost like they had the idea or the conceit of how the setup is, or the game is going to be, and they're like, how do we get to this point? You know what, it doesn't matter, it's going to be a silly description no matter what, let's just make it silly, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you've basically guilted into doing it. There you go, done.
Yep.
But the weird thing about it is you don't own the sushi bar, but you basically get all the profits.
You know, it's funny because I actually forgot that point until I came back to replay it, to finish playing, and that actually shocked me because I was like, oh, right, I get all the money, but I don't own this place.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Talk about ideal, though. Like, I guess
that's the thing. It actually, money-wise,
you don't have to deal with the earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I think it does, however, make the game more fun because if you put the effort in to the sushi bar, you can make a lot of money.
Dude, it's like absurd. Like, I don't even think I have to catch fish anymore, and I still make so much money.
It's because you're farming all those fish.
Oh yeah, that too.
Get some sharks in the farm, and there you go. You're sorted.
Yeah, I have that. Okay, so
can I just say?
We don't have to talk about the fish tanks right now, but there is some issues I have with the fish tanks.
Let me say one positive thing about those. The fact that they have a button that is sell everything except 2 of each kind of fish is an incredible thing. I love that button.
Wait, what?
So good. Do you not know you can do it? So if you're in one of the fish tanks, you're looking at it. There's a button that is sell fish brackets leave it all but 2.
Do they have that to like send to the kitchen?
Yeah, they've got both. Sell or
put.
Have you been? Oh
sending?
No, Kelly.
Because that's my complaint. That's my complaint is how long it takes.
I don't know if this was like an update or something, because obviously
that was not there at first. That I am.
I really hope it wasn't.
Almost 100% certain. I'm going to find out later on.
I really hope it wasn't. Yeah, they do have all the patch notes, so...
I'm going to look into this later on, and then I'll be mad or not.
But that is a fantastic feature. Like, if it wasn't...
The fish tanks are so good.
If it wasn't there at the beginning, then that's really annoying. But the fact that they've taken that and added that as a feature, it's a fantastic...
Yeah.
Like, because that's what you want to do with these... In almost no other case do you want to do anything other than... get rid of everything except 2 of them, right? Because you want to keep 2 for breeding more, but you want to either sell all the others or send it to the kitchen.
Yep. It's so funny, actually, because every time I go check out the fish tanks and I go to like the hydrothermic area, I see the donkey and I'm like, oh, I should probably kill another one for you, but I don't want to fight another one. I hate fighting that thing.
Yeah, fair.
But no, the fish tanks are actually amazing, and now that I know that there's automation, I retract any issues that I...
I love how I was like, just before you get to your complaints, let me say this great thing about it, and you're like, oh, that's all I wanted.
Listen, could I be an idiot and I never noticed it? Very possible. Could it also be a patch? Also possible. We're gonna find out later.
If Kelly ever tells me, I will mention it on the podcast.
But yeah, so I retract that statement. The fish tanks are amazing. Ben?
Yeah, right. Back to story. We keep getting distracted.
Yes.
So yeah, silly conceit as to why this is happening, but you know what? It doesn't matter. That's fun. There's very little story until you come across the sea people, right? So you're there's lots of little things, and you keep having people coming to you and like, oh, I need to do this thing, blah blah blah. And
yeah, it's like more of the story up until that point is like about like the sushi chef, Bancho.
Yes.
Like I feel like you're unearthing more information about him, or like, you know, more information about side characters that come in.
There's a lot of people that come in and give you a very small random story and ask you to do something because of that. Like the person who's like, oh, I can't even remember what she's lost something and a shark has it. It's like, we need to go kill the shark. And
these people come in with the most outrageous requests and like say them in such a banal manner. I just expect you to do them, which I think leads back to the silliness of the game.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's just like there's this absurdity to it that everybody believes this is so normal, and you're just like, yeah, okay, I'll go fight a kaiju for you.
So then you find the remains of this Sea People Society, which, shock horror, still exists. We surprised? Were we expecting that? I don't know. And what I find really funny is they're obviously, you have the classic, like, they're, you know, biased against you because you're a land person, blah, 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 so you have to earn their trust, and et cetera, et cetera. But it also, like, the way they talk makes it sound like they forgot that we existed.
Oh, like people?
Mm. Yeah, they were just like, oh yeah, land people exist. I forgot about that.
I mean, yes, I agree. I think it kind of makes sense, though, because it's like they've also been so removed from land people that we just become like a myth in their eyes. Yeah,
that's fair.
Kind of thing. What was I going to say? But it adds I think the Sea People really is another mechanic, though, honestly, not just in like the storytelling, but like that continues to make the game fun.
I think it's very clever because it allows you to have the quick travel. Mm-hmm. In which mechanically is very useful because obviously you don't have to dive all the way down every single time, but lore wise you kind of believe it. Like if it weren't for that, you wouldn't really have any way. Like it has to be magic, right? You can't have quick travel to the bottom of the sea without it being magic.
I mean, you got quick travel, you got this whole area where you can ride your cute little pink albino dolphin beluga whale guy, whatever he is. Mm-hmm. I think there's no way it's not magic, right? Because at that point, too much has happened where you're just like, this isn't logically possible. This doesn't make sense. But no, I think storytelling wise, I think it keeps the game really interesting because it opens up a whole bunch of new pathways, like getting to the Sea People. Like you want to find them. it gives you a drive in like the later end of the game. And then you have all their cute little side quests, which I think continue on their stories.
Yeah, so I this is mostly a game of little stories, right? Because there is an overarching story, which is the sea people exist, go find them, and then through that you find out what's making all the. Well, it's not just them; it's us as well, right? Because you find out what's causing the earthquakes, and you stop it. That's it. But it's not a particularly complex story, and the fun.
No.
The fun story really is in the small bits about the characters and learning about learning about the society and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that allows the game to kind of beat that issue with repetitive gameplay again too, because like you're not like, oh, I finished the big story, like I'm done, which like a lot of games have other little things going on once you finish the main story. But I think because the main story was so minor in a sense to the overall gameplay and like how you interact with the story itself, that like once it ends you're not like, the game's over. Like you're just like, oh, okay, that part's finished, cool, like I saved everybody, woo. But yeah, I think it's very simple in story terms, but like, and it's clearly adhering to very simple tropes about finding a hidden society. So I don't think there's anything like new and bold in that sense, but I think it's still fun.
Yeah.
I did like the, there was one part where we were forgetting one part of the story, the eco-terrorists. That guy with his bombs. Oh
yeah, he was quite funny, right? Because he's obviously like, he makes no sense.
He's so absurd. Like, none of this makes any sense. And I think that it all plays into each other very well.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you want to add before we do you want to talk about the end of the?
Yeah, I don't think I have any specifics about those people, but yeah, they're fun, they're silly, and I think it's quite fun how they kind of intermingle them throughout the story as well. Like you're not like running through one person's story and then running through another one's. You're going down and it's like, oh, here's the eco-terrorist, oh, here's something to do with the sea people, oh, here's whatever. And especially I found it quite fun because obviously I was playing through it with the DLCs existing, like those were then intermingled as well. So it's like just one day suddenly Godzilla shows up.
Yeah, that's true. Because then you really don't even have to worry about like falling into the what do I do today kind of.
Yeah, it's Godzilla Day. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, it's Godzilla Day. Oh, it's gotta go down at night day. Oh, it's gotta go rescue. Oh, I really liked the silly little idiot turtle man. Sea people guy.
I'm trying to remember
him and his turtle.
Turtle.
He's got like, the stereotypical like stoner idiot vibes going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I really liked the stuff around what is essentially the casino.
Yes. Finding her little octopus.
Yeah.
Whatever, squid, whatever he is.
And then I felt like I needed to do all the casino stuff.
Yeah, of course. And also I just like gambling.
Yeah.
How else do I start getting money? I mean, you gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, yeah, I love a good casino in a game. I'm not gonna lie.
I probably should have done the spoiler warning before now, but I guess if we're going to talk about the end, this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't played Dave the Diver yet and you don't want to be spoiled, go away. Come back once you've played it.
So in my most typical fashion, because this is how I either 110% a game or I quit a game right before the very end.
Yeah.
And so I quit Dave right before the very end. I had opened the control room. I had done everything but go inside.
That's literally one boss battle from the end.
I know. I know, because I did it last night.
Oh, Kelly. Goodness me. I'm glad we did.
But no, I've been playing, for the last few weeks, but like I was just like, I'm just gonna keep leaving that till the very end.
Well, I guess you're fresh on it then, because it's been a while since I've done it. But yeah, it's not even like there's like it's literally just if you've done the control panel, you literally have one boss battle and then you're done.
And I think, I mean, it's been a while since I did the control panel area, but was that a big puzzle? Was that hard?
It was a big puzzle. I'm not sure it was hard, but it was like a bunch of different rooms to unlock to get that done. None of it was difficult, like complicated, if that makes sense.
Which, I mean, I also think a lot of... Oh, yes. This was the one where you had to, like, change the water levels, right? And, like, go in and out of... Was that one?
I think so. Yeah, because you were working with one of the sea people.
Yes.
And you were on land and they were in the sea for some of it.
Yes. I will say I do like the puzzles in the game a lot. None of them are...
They were fine.
Insanely intricate. You know, they're not over the top. I think they were just the right level of puzzle.
Yeah. Where
it's like, oh, I'll take this over a boss battle.
Fair enough. The interesting... So let's talk about that boss battle, right? Because it wasn't the most difficult boss battle. And
no.
This is quite a common thing in games where you don't... the peak of difficulty is actually before the end, because you want... Like, this is a big thing in game design. You want people to feel like they are more powerful now than they were the last time. And so you make it less difficult, the absolute last one, because otherwise it doesn't feel as satisfying.
Which is funny, because I actually felt like it maybe wasn't as satisfying because it wasn't as hard.
Yeah, you're never going to make everybody happy, which is fine.
Of course not.
But yeah.
But another part of me was so happy that it wasn't hard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I was just like, oh, I get to be done.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fun little fight. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. I thought it was actually very simple and pretty straightforward. And I enjoyed that because that meant I got to finish the game.
Yeah.
Because also part of the putting it off is like, I put games off for two reasons. I do this with books. I do this with TV shows. I do this with movies. I don't want things to end. And so I feel that if I do not finish the very last thing, it has not fully ended.
That's interesting, because I'm the opposite. Like, I will hyper focus on something until either I'm finished or or my brain decides I'm done. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that I don't get much warning of my brain deciding I'm done.
No, which I totally get that too.
So
which I think does play into this.
Yeah, so there is some warning of it. So when I was doing last year, when I was playing Tears of the Kingdom, I had done like all of the shrines and all of the like what they called
Koroks?
No, not the Korok. No, definitely. I can't remember what they're called. Like the equivalent of the Divine Beasts, but I can't remember what they're called in this one.
I have not played it, so
anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'd done all of them, but I hadn't done the final battle, and I just kind of finished up the last shrines, and I was doing a couple of things, and I was like, I think I'm nearly there. So I was like, I think I need to go and do the final battle. So I went and did the final battle, and then my brain went, good, you're done. So I was like, thankfully I had the warning and I went and did it. But yeah, I
definitely get that warning, but I ignore it because I lie to myself and I say, well, if I don't finish it, even if I'm done with it now, I'll go back to it. And that is a lie.
That's me with Hollow Knight. I will go back, and I tried so many times to go back to it, and I never did. Never managed. I've part of the problem is that I stopped with Hollow Knight. I stopped before, like, at a battle, and it's a very difficult one. And every time I built up the game, I go and do it and went, oh, I just can't be bothered. Like, because you're not in the swing of things, you're not as good as you were when you finished. Could I have beaten that one if I had done it the day I stopped playing the game? Maybe, but I can't do it right now. You know? Yep.
Which I think also that even goes back to the Dave thing, because I quit right before what I thought would be the hardest battle in the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going to do all the silly little side quests I can instead. And even leading up to this for the podcast, which I'm so grateful it got me to play Dave again, because I think Dave is so fun. And I'm like playing again, and I'm like, wow, I stayed up till 3 a.m. playing this game again. Just like, you know, catching up on the little things I didn't do, and like getting through the side quests and doing the DLCs. So I did that. And even the first time I played recently, I was like, I haven't played in a year. I don't remember how to do anything. I gotta like get my skills back up so I can beat this final boss. And then it wasn't even that hard. Is that a metaphor for something? Probably. But I thought it was a fun little boss battle. I think story-wise it made sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and it was kind of nice seeing, like, your little, weeb weapons designer guy come through, and the other guy, and then the sea people, like having everybody kind of come together to help you.
Yeah, it was a fun culmination of all the storylines coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun. I mean, there's nothing particular like amazing about any of this story, but it's nice and it all fits together quite well, and it's fun.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to be groundbreaking to be fun.
Yeah, agreed.
We have classics for a reason.
Agreed.
And I thought the ending scene was really cute.
Oh,
like going back to the sushi place.
Yeah. It was quite fun to go back to there, and you had it made me tear up a little bit. It was just a little. It was nice. Like I wasn't like bawling, but yeah, it was just a little bit. It was nice.
Yeah, that and the end credits was a fun little game.
Yeah,
I thought that was cute. Maybe we'll get a Dave in space. I doubt it, but that would be cool.
You can't really swim in space is the only problem.
No. Oh, I am gonna just one tangent because the thought of mini games made
just
me
one
remember.
tangent.
Just one.
I think I think this is tangent number 5.
The Tamagotchi. I love the Tamagotchi.
I didn't like it.
Oh.
And I don't know whether it's because like I don't know whether there was a bug when I was playing it. I just felt like nothing I ever did was right.
I will say that there is that one game where like the fin goes back and forth. I could not figure out how to play that game, and the fish was getting so mad at me. And I think it realized that I can't play the game because it has not shown me the game since. I failed it like 3 times, and now it only shows me like the Hide the Pearl game.
Love it. Fantastic.
And I like play the games all the time with it. So I think it just realized that I cannot do that game.
It's such a random thing to have in the game. Like, it
is.
Here's a Tamagotchi on your phone. Okay. Why?
But like, I think it makes sense in like the randomness of it, if that makes sense.
It was like somebody had a week where nobody gave them any work to do, so they added this in. It's just really random.
Yeah. But if you think about it, it's like, what are the other games? We got the dance rhythm game.
Yes.
Right? Or no, the jumping game.
There was a rhythm. There was a rhythm game,
right? Okay, I think I skipped the rhythm game.
I really should have played the game again in the in the run up to this episode, because it's been like 2 months now since I've played it.
Oh wow.
That's the problem with
You've had a lot of DLCs to talk about though and stuff, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, all those episodes we recorded before I went away, you see, and it's now been 2 weeks since I came back. So it's like 6 weeks since I went away, and all of them were recorded a couple of weeks beforehand. So it's like 2 months since I recorded those episodes.
That makes sense. But so my point with the Tamagotchi is I think it does make sense because Tamagotchis do a lot of collaborations.
Yes.
And so in like that's true. That sense it fits in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting next to my my Pac-Man Tamagotchi and my what's his name? What's his name? The egg. Gudetama.
Gudetama?
Yeah, my Gudetama Tamagotchi as well. So yeah, they do quite a few collaborations.
So I think in that aspect it makes sense. Like I was like, oh okay, this kind of fits.
But it's also not Tamagotchi.
No.
Like I feel like I would have understood it more if it was actually a collaboration and it was a Tamagotchi, but it's not.
Yeah, that's true. Oh. I don't know, man. They just keep adding content to the game.
Yes. Yeah, well, when will they ever end? I think it's interesting. So this, the developer, like this is kind of a very different game for the developer. I think they've mostly done like, kind of like big budget 3D first person type games.
Which is very interesting because, there was that whole... is Dave an indie game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because it's like...
feels like an indie game.
It does, but it's like, okay, you can feel like an indie game and not be an indie game. Like,
yeah.
It takes there was a whole thing on this, and like, I don't want to get into it here, that was old news.
Yeah.
I think we've moved past it. But it is very funny because it tricked me for a while. I thought it was an indie game.
Yeah. I think
And
we've
then I
all gone
actually
we've
looked
all gone
into
through
it.
that point, and we've like, oh, okay, no, all right.
But I mean, like, good for them still, because clearly they're not just dropping it. And I feel like that is what actually makes me think it's more of an indie game than anything else. Because I feel like so many indie games continue to put out content to try to make sure that their game stays relevant.
I think this is the thing, is they're running it like an indie game would be
Yeah,
run.
that's my point. Yeah.
And I think maybe they've realized that can be successful.
Yes.
And so it's not like this is exclusive to indie games, but it's typically indie games that run games like this. But because now they've realized that can be successful, and clearly it was, they made a lot of money from Dave the Diver, right? And, they've won awards for the Dave the Diver. Like, it's been very successful. Hopefully we get more like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's also proven that big companies can still make fun 2D games,
Yes.
which it felt like for a long time, like every big games company was doing big, massive, like we talked about with, the GTA stuff, like every game needs to be bigger and more, higher quality graphics, and just more and more and more. And hopefully this is them realizing, oh no, we can do small as well. It doesn't mean that everything needs to be like this, but you can do this as well.
Yeah, and I think this is also really interesting in that we've seen so many big games come out not finished.
Yeah.
And you're getting those massive games that aren't even finished at release, and then you're getting games like Dave.
That's a good point, because although this has had many updates, and some of the updates have been obviously quality of life improvements, but I don't get from people that this felt like it was an incomplete game.
No, I think that they're just adding things to continue to make it more fun for the gamer, not to improve or patch the game.
Which is
and obviously there's some patches, like things happen.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of games companies still don't get. And particularly, I think indie games are really bad at that as well. And I think the thing is, this, you see, like, Stardew is an example of a game that doesn't do that. Stardew never felt incomplete, and everything they've added just made it more fun and added more stuff to it.
Exactly.
But a lot of games, like, this is my complaint about Coral Island. Coral Island released incomplete, very much felt incomplete. It wasn't buggy or anything, it just felt like, here's our 1.0, but it's missing story.
Yeah, like we just wanted to get this out, but we didn't fully flesh out everything that needed to be done.
Exactly. And I think companies need to realize there's a difference there. And obviously there's the big company games are more buggy when they're released. I think indie games tend to be less buggy, but they do tend to be more incomplete in terms of features and stuff like that. And I think part of the problem is the early access culture. And I'm not saying the early access is a bad thing, but I think it's important to know that if you have the early access tag, that's fine. But when you get out of that, you need to change your thought process. Because people are seeing it as, this is now a complete game. And you need to bear that in mind.
Because if I'm getting the same game that you essentially put out in early access as the 1.0, like, something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you doing that whole time? Like, which is also a big reason why I've stopped playing early access games. But yeah, no, it's an industry-wide issue for sure. So I think when games like Dave come out and they're so complete on release, but then also continue to work with fans and like put out new stuff, it's refreshing. It really is.
I mean, Hollow Knight's another example of that, right? And I presume we're going to see the same thing
Not
with
to be
Silksong.
biased.
No, and it is though.
Yeah.
Like they added stuff, but it was still additions rather than completing the game. And I think we're probably going to see that with Silksong, where
I would imagine
it's
so. Yeah,
taking a long time, but that's because they want to do it right.
and I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Is you can feel the love and like the commitment and just like the hard work that really went into this game in that sense. Like it's not just, oh, I'm making a game to make a game to make some money. Like I'm making a game because I wanted to make this game.
Exactly.
And it makes a big difference. It really does. It can sound corny, but like it's true.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for joining me to talk
Thank you
about
for having me.
Dave the Diver.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun. I love talking about this stuff. I will forgive you for forgetting or not realizing that I was the first person to play the game in Slack.
Listeners don't know about that. I haven't mentioned the fact that this was never meant to be an episode. Where can people find you on the internet?
If you type in Rallamieu, I'll come up somewhere, I'm sure. It's RALLAMIEU.
You can find me on mastodon.scot and on Twitter at thescotbot. You can find the podcast on Tumblr and on Twitter at thspod. You can go to our website and send us feedback. There's a feedback form on our website, harvestseason.club, where we also have links to everything to do with the podcast, including our Patreon, patreon.com/thspod, where if you support the podcast, you can get access to our Slack, where people talk about lots of things, both game related and not. I've been complaining about Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home on there. You also get access to our backlog of bonus episodes. There'll be more coming out soon. I think the most recent is still the Godzilla one that we did with Spencer, which was a good episode, but it's been busy, so I haven't done any new since then. But there will be more coming in the next few months, so sign up and get them. And you also just get 3.5 years worth of those bonus episodes. I think that's everything, so thank you, Kelly, again for joining me.
Thank you, Al, for having me.
Thank you, listeners, for listening, and until next time, have a good harvest.
Bye.
The Harvest Season is created by Al McKinley, with support from our patrons, including our pro farmers, Kevin, Stuart, and Elisa. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode.
I can hear my cat immediately started crying outside the door.
Classic. Do you need to do something?
No, I put her litter box outside. She knows when I have meetings that I'm not using my hands, so she can sit and be scratched. So she's conditioned to come cry to be let in for meetings.
Fair enough.